Voicemail. How to make it work for you. Love it or hate it, voicemail is part of our work culture. My first encounter with it was in the 1980s, and more than 30 years later, far too many people still haven't figured it out. If you use voicemail at work, and you probably do, see how many of these techniques that you have mastered. Number one, change your greeting. When people get your voicemail, do they hear a pleasant voice that says, "Hi, this is Jim"? Or do they hear a computer-generated voice that says, "The person at extension 123 is unavailable"? If you're not sure, call your own number and see what other people experience. Number two, can you record a temporary greeting? Some days we're in the office and some days we're out of the office, sometimes for an extended period of time. But callers aren't mind readers. How will they know that we're gone for a week and may not be returning voicemail messages for that period of time? A good phone system allows the user to record what's called a temporary greeting. That greeting would start something like this. "Hi, this is Mary. I'll be out of the office until July 16th and will be returning calls at that time. If you need assistance before then, call blah, blah, blah." Part of recording that temporary greeting is setting an expiry date and time. In this example, on July 16th, the temporary greeting would automatically be replaced by the regular one. How many times do you encounter an outgoing message that talks about dates from weeks ago? You just encountered someone who hasn't mastered this technique. Number three, can you check voicemail remotely? Just because someone is out of the office for a week doesn't mean voicemail has to accumulate. Any reputable phone system allows the user to dial a number and then enter the extension and PIN. That arrangement allows the out-of-town executive to return calls during spare pockets of time. Number four, can you forward calls? People have much more control over where the phone rings than they realize. Going to be out of the office and want your calls to ring through to your mobile number? Do you and a colleague need to answer each other's calls when one of you leaves the office or is working on an important project? Well, it's easy to make that happen. And number five, use programmable keys. Does the keypad include a key or two that the user can program to store a string of numbers? I once worked with a phone system that required entry of 2 strings of numbers to retrieve voice messages. Well, I programmed one key to dial those 2 long strings and even insert a short pause between the strings. That one shortcut reduced a dozen keystrokes to a single keystroke every single time I checked voicemail. And now what if you're the manager? What if you're in charge of keeping the organization's phone system operating efficiently? Can you perform these functions? Number one, update the telephone tree. The telephone tree tells you to press 3 for Joe Smith. The only problem is that Joe retired a year ago. The organization has no plan in place for keeping the tree up to date as employees change. If you're not sure if yours is working correctly, check it. Pick a time after hours and try each option on the tree one at a time. You may be surprised. Number two, change the tree for someone who's left the organization. Sometimes a position is eliminated and nobody assumes the new extension. What happens when an unexpected caller dials the extension directly? Do they hear the greeting for the person who's no longer there? How many messages are piling up in unmonitored mailboxes at your organization? Number three, communicate with others how to use the functions discussed above. When a new phone system goes in, those doing the installation leave behind numerous copies of the user guide. It explains temporary greetings, forwarding calls, etc., all the things that we've talked about and much more. The problem is people lose them and nobody can lay hands on a copy. A phone call to the company that installed the system would solve the problem of the missing manual. You can handle that in one phone call today. And lastly, what does as soon as possible mean, for crying out loud? How many voicemail greetings do you hear that promise to return your call as soon as possible? So exactly what does that mean? Does that mean 5 minutes from now when you get back from the bathroom? Or does it mean 5 weeks from now when you get back from an extended vacation? I have an entire post that addresses that subject. Come over to voicemail, how to make your outgoing message helpful. You'll find it at this address, bit.ly/FrankBuck116. Again, that's bit.ly/FrankBuck116. That's all in lowercase letters. So where do we go from here? Find the manual that tells you how to use the phone system. Then start setting up features that are going to ultimately save you time. They'll also save time for your callers. If you liked this episode, let other people know. Come over to the blog post and comment. Click the tweetable and share on your various social networks. If you're not already on the email list, join today. You'll get my guide for getting your desk clean and my guide for setting up Remember the Milk, a fantastic digital task manager. Until next time, this has been Frank Buck. Thanks for listening. Now go and have the time of your life.